To all my beautiful people of YouTube, today I'm really excited to bring you what is going to be an entire topology, which is basically a part 2 from the Cisco Packet Tracer video that I made earlier. And so if you want to follow along, just go watch that video and I'll teach you how to install Cisco Packet Tracer so that you can do what we do. In light of the recent events, I start my new position on Monday in IT management with a wonderful company called USLBM. And so I thought I should brush up on my networking skills. In this video, what I'm going to do is we're going to make a simple topology. And so let's get to it. I am Joshuaalaforgia, and I hope you'll join me on this journey to forging a better future. As always, before we get started, the name that I have chosen for today is Sarah. The name Sarah means princess, if you did not know that. So if you learned something today, or if you found that valuable, if you'll hit the thumbs up down below, I'd greatly appreciate it. So now that we are back here on the desktop, what you want to do is you want to go to Cisco Packet Tracer. I will put a link to the former video somewhere on the screen to where you guys can watch the first video if you haven't downloaded Cisco Packet Tracer already, which is 100% free. And once we're in here, what you want to do is you want to go down to the end users, and we're going to click on the PC option. So we're going to take a PC and we're just going to set it right there in our topology. And we're just going to put a server right here. Now, as you can see, we have the end user right here, which is a PC, and then we have our server, and the PC is also known as the client. So what you can do is when you click on the cables right here, we're going to use what's known as a copper crossover cable. And a copper crossover cable, what that does is it lets a PC and a client communicate with each other. We can either do that through the air, or we can do that with a physical cable like the copper crossover cable that we're using here. So what you want to do is you want to click on the copper crossover cable, click here and go down to the fast Ethernet, and then move it over here to the server and click on fast Ethernet. And as you can see already, you have these two green arrows that point upward, and basically that means that they're communicating with each other. So that's basically it. There's your network. We have a client and we have a server, and basically what the server does is it sends services to the client. So if you actually click on this here, what we can see is we can see that this is your typical representation of a PC. It has a Ethernet, it is the back of a computer, and if we go over here to the server, it looks like your typical server, which has the Ethernet in the back here. Both of these things, to communicate with each other, we need two things. We need a MAC address and we need an IP address. Technically, you don't have to do anything that we're about to do right now. You do not have to configure a MAC address, and you do not have to configure an IP address, but to make things a little more simple, that's what we're going to do today, and so that you guys can get a general idea of how these things talk to each other. A MAC address is something that a manufacturer pre-burns into a device and is normally unique to every device. There have been situations to where there have been duplicate MAC addresses, but that's very rare. So what we're going to do on this PC is we're going to open it up here, and if you go to the fast Ethernet 0, you can see that it already has a MAC address that's pre-built into it, but we're going to change this. Like I was saying before, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to change the MAC address or change the IP address for two PCs or a server and a PC to actually communicate with each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the MAC address on this PC to 0001.111.1.1111. Now, if you notice that this has 12 digits, a 12-digit hexadecimal address. We won't get into hexadecimal addresses today because that's a topic for another time, but just know that this is a 12-digit hexadecimal address, just to make this example just a little bit easier on everybody. So once that happens, we're going to exit out of here, and then we're going to go to the server, and we're going to go to the fast Ethernet 0 like we did before. And as you can see, it already has a MAC address, and we are going to change this MAC address to 0001.2222.2222. Just like before, 12-digit hexadecimal address. Now, once that's done, the second thing that we need is an IP address. Now, an IP address, what we can do from here is when you open the PC, and then you want to go to the desktop. Once you go to the desktop, you can go to the command prompt. And when you're at the command prompt, you can see, you can type in ipconfig, and you see that we don't have any IP address so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to configure, we're going to go to the fast Ethernet, and we're going to configure the IPv4 address. And just for this example, we're going to make it something simple. So we're going to say it is 10.1.1.1. And it's going to have a subnet mask of not this. It's going to be 255.255.255.0. And then we're going to go to the server and do the exact same thing. So we're going to go to the server, go to the fast Ethernet, we're going to go to IPv4, and it's going to be 10.1.1.2. And the subnet mask is going to be the same. It is going to be 255.255.0. Now, I know this is a little complicated, and you don't need to understand subnet mask or the IPv4 address right now, or the IP address. That will definitely come later in probably another video. But once that is done, basically we have a PC, which is a client, and then we have the server. Now, that doesn't really tell us anything, that doesn't really do anything, but what we can do is, just like on any PC, you can go to the PC and we can go to the desktop, and if you open up the command prompt, what we can do is we can ping the server. So ping, all that does is, basically the ping command is a command that says we are going to ping a certain IP address, and we're going to say, hey, I'm here, are you listening? And the server is going to say, hey, I'm here, I'm listening, and it's going to send the ping back. So we are going to ping 10.1.1.2, and you can see right here that we have a reply. And you can see that they're both talking to each other. Now, that doesn't really do anything for us. We have, I mean, that's great, they're communicating, but that doesn't really mean anything. So if we go to the server here, and we go to the desktop on the server, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at services. Now, the services on the actual server are the services that the server provides to the PC. So we have a few of them here. We have HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and then you have email, you have FTP, but you just want to go to the HTTP and you want to make sure that this is turned on. As long as the HTTP is turned on, what we can do is we can go back to the desktop. Once we're on the desktop, you can go to the web browser. And once you're in the web browser, we can type in http:// and then we can type in the IP address of the server. Now, once we have both configured, like I said before, you didn't have to do, because if you hook up your PC, say, to a router, say that you just bought a new laptop and you bring it home and you connect it to your router, well, there's something called DHCP, and DHCP is Dynamic Host Control Protocol. And Dynamic Host Control Protocol, what that does is it automatically allocates an IP address to your computer. So like I said, you technically don't have to do any of this, but what we're going to do, just to kind of show you guys what we just did in real time and created a working network, is you're going to go back to the PC and we're going to go to the web browser. And this doesn't show us too much in this web browser here. And once you're in the web browser, you want to type http:// then you're going to type 10.1.1.2, and it's going to bring up this little website here. It says Cisco Packet Tracer, and you can click on some little links. If you click on image, it'll give you this little image here. But basically, they're communicating with each other. And that's basically, we just set up a communication between a host and a client. So what's really cool about Packet Tracer is, now that we have both of these set up, you can go down here to simulation. And if you click simulation, it's actually gonna, and you go down here and click go or play, it's actually gonna send packets back to each other, and it's gonna show you in real time what's going on. And so over here you can see we're sending packets of information back and forth, and it'll show up over here, and you can kind of see the activity that is on both the server and the PC. Really hope you guys enjoyed today's video on Cisco Packet Tracer and how to create entire topologies. And hopefully you guys learned something. I'm going to put the video on how to download Cisco Packet Tracer in the end screen here, and subscribe for more. And just remember, y'all are wonderful in case nobody's told you today. Thanks for hanging out with me and forging a better future.